Ever wished you could just hit delete on a bad memory? You know, like totally wipe it from your mind.
Ah,
Well, in this deep dive, we're going into a world where that's not just possible, it's the key to survival.
oh, this can be good.
We're diving into a psychological thriller. It's called Fractured Memories, and it drops us right into the shoes of Alex, who wakes up with amnesia.
Classic start.
Right, totally. But get this, they're trapped in this stark, white room. No clue how they got there.
Okay, so right off the bat, we've got that trapped feeling. Love it.
Yeah, and the story doesn't waste any time. Alex finds a note and it says, "To escape, remember what you've forgotten." Chills.
Talk about high stakes right from the get-go.
Yeah.
It makes you think, is escape even possible when the prison is your own mind?
That's exactly what I was thinking. So what's your expert take on that note, expert? Is it like a literal instruction, some metaphor, or just a cruel mind game?
You hit the nail on the head with that mind game idea. It's deliberately ambiguous, which instantly pulls you into Alex's confusion. Like, on the surface, it seems straightforward, almost like solving a riddle.
Yeah, I get that.
But there's this deeper level, right, where it's suggesting Alex is imprisoned by their own mind, specifically by whatever they've tried so hard to bury.
So the real escape isn't the room, it's the memories themselves.
Exactly. And the author, they're clever. They use all these sensory details to make that trapped feeling even stronger.
I noticed that, how they describe the room.
Yes, like the cold that just seeps into Alex's bones, that single light bulb swaying and casting these unsettling shadows. Even the ache of missing those memories, it all builds this really visceral experience.
It's like you're right there with Alex.
Exactly. Feeling their disorientation like you're trapped too.
Ugh, it's already making me uneasy. And then there's that code carved into the floor, L13F. Seems so specific, but it's meaningless at this point.
Oh, I love those little details that make you rack your brain.
It's like when you're trying to remember something, but it's just out of reach. Like a word on the tip of your tongue.
Perfectly said. It mirrors the reader's experience with Alex's, right?
Mm.
We're both in the dark, grasping at these fragmented memories.
And then we get the voice. Talk about upping the mystery.
Oh yeah, that voice. Another layer of uncertainty to keep you on edge. Is it real? Imagined. Some part of Alex's subconscious makes you question everything.
It totally does. But thinking about trauma, it's not actually that out there, is it?
You're right, it's not. Studies have shown trauma can manifest in all sorts of ways. And sometimes these internal voices, they're the mind's way of coping.
So this fictional story is actually tapping into some pretty real psychology.
Oh, absolutely. It's
Yeah.
part of what makes it so compelling, right?
Yeah.
It's got that grounding in reality.
For sure. Then there's that mirror scene. Alex looking in the mirror, and their reflection is older, almost haunted looking. It's not how they feel inside.
Oh, that's a powerful image.
It really struck me. Could it be a representation of how suppressed memories, they kind of weigh on us, even if we don't realize it, like aging us?
That's a really fascinating observation. And it actually ties into some scientific research on trauma's impact.
Wait, really?
Yeah. There was this study on telomere length. Those are like protective caps on our DNA. And they shorten as we age.
Okay, I'm following.
Well, they found that people who would experience a lot of childhood trauma, their telomeres were shorter than others the same age.
So trauma can literally age us.
It suggests that, yeah, at a cellular level.
That's mind-blowing. The story isn't just a metaphor, it's reflecting something real.
Exactly. And that makes the idea of holding on to those painful memories even more unsettling.
Right, because but to this point, the reader is just as clueless as Alex. But then, boom, the truth comes out. Alex chose to forget.
Big reveal.
They were involved in something dangerous, there was betrayal, and they buried it deep. Makes you wonder, how does our brain even protect us through that kind of amnesia?
Our brains are incredible, aren't they?
Yeah.
In super stressful or traumatic situations, they can trigger this self-preservation mechanism.
So like a superpower, but for bad times.
In a way, yeah. It blocks access to those painful memories so we don't get totally overwhelmed. Not always a conscious decision, more of a subconscious response to protect ourselves.
Wow. So Alex's amnesia isn't just about forgetting, it's about survival.
Precisely. But as we see, it's a double-edged sword. Survival, yes, but it also imprisons them in this cycle of forgetting and remembering.
And the story really dives into those complexities, which is what makes it so gripping.
Exactly. It asks that tough question right now. Is it better to face the pain of the past or live in blissful ignorance?
Yeah.
Even if that ignorance comes at the cost of freedom.
No easy answers there, which is probably why this story really gets under your skin. It makes you think about your own relationship with memory and truth.
Absolutely. Makes you wonder, What would you do in Alex's situation? Choose to remember, even if it meant digging up all that painful stuff.
That's a tough one. Part of me wants to think I'm strong enough to face it, but who knows how you'd react in that moment, right?
It makes you think, that's for sure. And that's what good storytelling does, doesn't it? It challenges us to look at ourselves, the world, in new ways.
For sure. And this story is just getting started. We've got a lot more to unpack, like what happens when Alex finally decides to face their past head on.
Oh, yeah, that's where things get really interesting. That decision, it's just the beginning of Alex's journey.
Well, listeners, I don't know about you, but I'm hooked. We'll be right back with part 2 of our deep dive into fractured memories.
So that decision to remember, it's like a turning point, right? It's not just about escaping the room. It's about unlocking this part of themselves that Alex had kept hidden away.
Yeah, you're right. It's almost like choosing to remember is like the first step to healing, right?
Absolutely. And the story, it does a great job of showing that inner struggle, Because even though Alex makes that choice, those memories, they don't just flood back.
Right, it's not like a movie.
Exactly. It's this gradual and often painful process. They're piecing together these fragments of the past, bit by bit.
Which makes way more sense than some sudden flashback, right? If we're talking about real trauma.
Exactly. Trauma and remembering, it's rarely clean and simple. It's messy, it's fragmented, and there's so much emotion tied up in it.
I keep thinking about it like a puzzle, where some pieces are missing and the ones you do have, they don't quite fit together.
That is such a good analogy. Because it really reflects how our brains work, right? Trying to protect us from being overwhelmed by these memories. Like those missing puzzle pieces, they're still there, hidden in the subconscious, just waiting.
Waiting for the right moment or the wrong one, maybe.
Maybe both. But something I noticed, the story focuses on Alex wanting to forget this betrayal. But it never really says what happened, the specifics. Why do you think the author kept that vague?
That's interesting. I didn't even think about that.
I think by not giving us all the details, the author lets us, the readers, project our own experiences onto the story. Makes it more universal.
You know, it's funny. When I was reading this, I thought about a time when a friend really let me down.
Yeah.
And it took forever to forgive them. Made me think, would I have chosen to just forget it all if I could have?
See, that's what good stories do. They let us connect on a personal level, even if the actual events are totally different.
Totally. Gets you thinking about your own life. Choices you've made. And speaking of choices, there's that part where a door appears once Alex decides to remember. Like it's a physical thing because their mind changed.
Oh, yeah. Was that door always there, just waiting? Or did it appear because of the choice?
Right. It makes you think about those big themes, like how what's inside us can change what's outside.
It's almost as if, by choosing to remember, Alex unlocks this new possibility, a path forward that wasn't there before.
So it's saying the only way out of our own personal demons, whatever those are, is to face them head on. Running away might feel good for a bit, but it's that confrontation that leads to freedom.
Exactly. And that's where the story gets even more fascinating. Because even though Alex makes the choice, the door appears. We never actually find out what's on the other side.
Wait, what? We don't know if they actually escape.
Nope. The author leaves it open.
Is that like a cliffhanger? Why do that?
I think it's brilliant. Honestly, by leaving that ending ambiguous, it's like the author saying, okay, now you imagine what freedom looks like for Alex.
So it becomes personal for each reader.
Exactly. It's not about getting a concrete answer. It's about asking yourself, what does freedom mean to me?
And what would it take for us to reach that freedom? It's like this story, it's holding up a mirror to our own lives.
It really is. It's asking us to look at our own choices, our fears, everything.
And speaking of fears, what if we could erase memories for real? Like, in the story. That'd change everything, wouldn't it?
Oh, that's a question science fiction has been wrestling with for ages. Yeah. And with all the technology these days, it's more relevant than ever.
I mean, who hasn't had that thought? Erase a bad memory, a heartbreak, trauma. It's tempting.
It is. But the reality, it's way more complicated than just hitting delete. Because all our memories, even the bad ones, they're connected. Like a web. They make us us.
So erase one, you mess up the whole thing.
You risk changing your personality, your relationships, even your sense of self. It makes you think about the ethics of it all.
Whoa. Heavy stuff.
Right. If we had that power, who decides what gets erased and why? Imagine governments erasing dissent or companies erasing bad reviews. Scary.
It's like the story's a warning then, even though it's fiction.
Exactly. It highlights how important remembering is, even when it hurts. Because those memories, they shape who we are.
And it reminds us that real freedom, it doesn't come from running from the past, but from facing it, understanding it, making it part of us.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And that's something that goes way beyond just this one story. It's relevant for all of us, no matter what we've been through.
Well said. This has been an amazing deep dive. We've talked about memory, trauma, the power of choice. But we're not done yet. There's still more to uncover in that final chapter of Alex's journey.
Oh, yeah, that ending. It's powerful. Brings everything full circle.
All right, listeners, you know I'm on the edge of my seat. We'll be right back to finish up this deep dive into fractured memories. All right, so we're back, and that ending, with Alex choosing to remember, that door appearing, it's like the author just dropped the mic and walked away.
I know, right? Such a power move. But it makes you think, doesn't it?
It totally does. What's on the other side of that door? What happens to Alex?
Well, here's the thing. We don't actually get a clear answer.
We don't?
Nope. Instead of showing us what's beyond the door, the story shifts. It goes to Alex's internal world, their mind.
Okay, so we're not getting a physical escape, we're getting a mental one.
Exactly. We see Alex confronting their past, but not through like flashbacks or anything. It's more like this surreal journey through these fragmented memories.
Oh, wow. So we're experiencing the process of remembering with them.
Yes, we see them wrestling with guilt, betrayal, even the sense of responsibility for what happened.
Which, I mean, that's something we can all relate to, right? Feeling the weight of our past, even if it wasn't as intense as what Alex went through.
Absolutely. It makes the story so much more powerful. It's not just about this character with amnesia trying to escape a room. It's about something we all go through, confronting our past, our choices, all of it.
You know, it makes me think about therapy. How sometimes just changing the way we think about our past can help us feel and act differently now.
That's a great connection. Because that's what Alex is doing, right? They're choosing to remember instead of forget. And it's like they're rewiring their brain, creating new paths that lead to healing.
Breaking free from the prison in their own mind. But even though we don't get that neat ending where everything's tied up, there's still this feeling of hope. It's like, yeah, Alex went through something awful, but they come out stronger.
I totally agree. It shows how resilient we can be even when we've been through trauma, even when we've messed up.
Like they say, the wound is the place where the light enters you. It's a good reminder that even our darkest times can lead to something good, something new.
It really is. So if there's one thing you hope people listening take away from this deep dive, what would it be?
You mean besides needing to read this book immediately?
Yes, besides that.
Well, I think it's this. Even the painful memories, they're part of who we are. They make us us. And sure, it's tempting to want to just erase the bad stuff, keep only the good. But it's the whole picture, the whole past, that got us to where we are now.
Beautifully said. And listener, what about you? What really stuck with you from Fractured Memories? What are you going to take away from this deep dive into the power of memory and the choices we make? Think about that. And until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions. You never know what you might discover about yourself.